Welcome to the Market Mindset. We are the hub for news, results, and CEO interviews focusing the junior commodities sector. We provide market analysis. Welcome to the Market Mindset. We are the hub for news, results, and CEO interviews focusing the junior commodities sector. We provide market analysis and perspective that will help position you for solid returns. If that sounds like something you're interested in, you can help support us by liking this video, subscribing to our channel, and clicking the notification bell. For more info, you can visit our website. All links are in the description below. Now let's get into today's video.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Digging Deeper. Today, big shout out to Red Cloud for providing another great guest. We've got Chris Frostad, who's president and CEO over at Purepoint Uranium Group. Sorry, I'm just getting over.
This is live, right, Andrew? You can't do that over again.
No, yeah. No, we got to rush right through it. That never happened. I'm getting over a cold, so I've got a very deep and not melodic voice, but bear with me. How are you doing, Chris? Got a chance to chat with you a little bit earlier, but how's it going?
Very good, very good. It's, I mean, we're in the bit of the doldrums here as far as the markets are concerned, but you know, where we are and a lot of our peers, it's been an exciting year or two, and a couple more years ahead of us, and everybody's busy right now, and glad to be busy. So it's a good time.
That's good. And before we get into Purepoint, I'll just say so people, you know, will stay tuned as well, as because I want to talk about the general market. Is you're right in the right zone. You're right in Athabasca. You're right in the right place. There's lots of great evidence and news has come out. We're going to get to that. But before we talk about the projects, and you've got a portfolio of them, let's talk a little bit about the macro, where we're at right now today. A bit of a pullback in the uranium price, but also just what you know, the longer term vision, because once again, when you're talking mining, but also energy, a longer lens is pretty helpful to have.
For sure. And I think, you know, what we've seen is that uranium and nuclear in general is now being seen more as a green initiative than the fearful metal that it might have been 10, 15 years ago. It's not the enemy anymore. Carbon's the enemy. Yes. And we're on the other side of that thing. And I think what, you know, not to rehash too much history, but I mean, 10 years ago or so, we had a tsunami hit Japan. They shut down about 10% of the world's reactors, but that really wasn't the real issue. It was a bit of a red herring. There was a lot of inventory in the system. Kazakhstan had been moving a lot of low-cost uranium into the market. It's a small market, and it really pushed the price of uranium down and kept it down for quite some time. So what we've seen over the last while is trying to rebalance that supply and demand. We've seen a lot of mines coming offline over the last while, and just production being closed down, no new mines opening up. And over the last 2-3 years, we've seen we've been producing 30% less uranium than we've been consuming. So that has been getting us to a better point. And I think about a year and a half ago, there's a number of bells that went off that said, okay, it looks like we're getting to the end of this, and we saw the price of uranium starting to rise back up again. So it was sitting at the time at about $25, $30 for the longest time. It needs to get up to an incentive price of about $60 to $70 before it makes sense to start building a new mine or opening up an old mine, and we're only halfway there. So I think what we're seeing now over the last year or so is a lot more activity in the sector, a lot more money coming into the sector, and we're seeing that uranium price rise up. And I think there's probably, you know, to the extent that we've seen a lot of joy over the last year or two, we're only halfway there. So we've got another year or two, I think, of good times to really get behind this and get this sector moving again.
And we talked a little bit earlier too, and we won't spend a lot of times on politics when out, but although that plays a big factor in this, because it takes some convincing of the people to get behind any kind of movement in energy, and they're behind a green energy movement, but a lot of them still have a hard time associating that nuclear is the cleanest and greenest by far. And then you have certain countries that kind of, you know, like say France, who's going forward again with nuclear, and then Germany says we're not, but they're changing their mind again. So, and you'd mentioned China and India, full steam ahead.
Sure.
So that sets the stage too to go, okay, we've got a lot of nuclear movement forward, but like China and India, they would need supply as well. So there's lots of good factors.
That's right. That's right. I mean, you've got. I mean, once you turn a reactor on, you need surety of supply, and there's been a few political upheavals. Certainly, Russia, Ukraine. There was some political upheaval in Kazakhstan earlier in the year, and this is the kind of stuff that kind of jars the system and gets some of these utilities behind getting those longer term contracts in place. But countries like Germany that backed off of nuclear power a while back, which was primarily, I think, recognized as politically driven, not necessarily scientifically driven, and now there's concerns that they may have to step back on that as well. And like you pointed out, China, India, right now, half of the reactors that are under construction are being built there. And if that sort of trend continues, they're going to be looking for 40% of the world's nuclear fuel, and they don't necessarily have it. One of the things about this industry is the countries that require the most uranium are not the countries that produce the most uranium.
Yes,
Australia is a good example of that, where they actually have a moratorium against nuclear power right now, but they have some of the world's largest reserves. So that's all going to change. In the near future, we see that coming. So yeah, it's a real supply demand story. I think nuclear energy and power in general is always going to be at the forefront and where it's coming from, and it just works to our advantage in this particular sector.
Yeah, and I mean, having that kind of trend where we see those fundamentals kind of lining up gives a lot of breathing room as we kind of narrow down now to specifically you guys for the sector to go, okay, we can focus, knowing that macro is out there and that there's a tide turning and that we need to meet this demand, to fight carbon and whatnot. So, okay, we go.
Which means that we have to find more, right?
We have to find more.
We have to find more. So,
yes.
And that's what a time like this affords us is the capital to do the exploration that is truly necessary to find these new resources, because they're not going to last forever, and the need is growing. So that's why we operate where we do in Canada and Saskatchewan, where where 20 to 25% of the world's uranium comes from now. It's got the highest grade finds on the planet. It's a bit of a freak show, actually. You're generally mining uranium at maybe 0.4%, 0.5%, and they're pulling it out of the ground at an average of 20% or higher, much higher at some point. So it's a great place to be an exploration company, because you're when you do find something, it changes your life drastically.
So, I mean, it goes without saying, we don't have to cover the infrastructure, the region. You're Athabasca, you're right where you should be. And I think, I've mentioned this in a number of different companies, I think it's going to matter moving forward to, like, not only where your project is, but that kind of, where did you get your uranium from? I think that's going to be tied in with that ESG story. I think it's going to matter in the future. So I think if it's coming from a friendly place compared to somewhere else, that's going to have an effect. So there's a lot of those positive aspects. There's everything up that you could need up there as far as a company.
Sure. And I mean, Saskatchewan is recognized over and over again, year after year, as the most friendly place on the planet to mine. And I mean, from a permitting standpoint, from a community standpoint, the resources that are there, the services, et cetera, et cetera. It's been a great place to work, and the province itself has been very supportive of exploration and mining in general, and it means a quick path. I mean, too many times we've seen in other jurisdictions, you've got a military coup rising up, or you've got something happening. I mean, the political risk is always a big factor in mining, no matter where you are. And I think we're in a jurisdiction that is friendly, is open to what we do, and very supportive to what we do.
And on top of that, you've got a number of projects. So this isn't just a one-shot pony. You've got Is it six different?
We've got
projects?
12 actually.
12. All right. Yeah, you've got.
Let me show you a picture of them.
Yeah, I know that there's a couple like the flagship leading the way, but 12, that's quite a portfolio.
Well, and again, this is a portfolio that we have picked up over the last 10 years. I mean, when things have been quiet, we've been able to continue looking for opportunities across the basin. We were involved the last go round when things got really exciting, the middle of the last decade, and we invested a lot in some of these projects, and so we still hold those. There's still a lot of work to be done on them because for the last 10 years, we haven't been investing a lot in advancing those projects because the markets didn't care. And, we focused on our one project, Hook Lake, which is a joint venture with Cameco and Orano, two of the world's largest suppliers of uranium. It's a project that sits right next to two of the largest discoveries of the last decade with Next Gen and Fission. You see Hook Lake there over on the left. With those joint venture partners, we've been able to continuously invest in that particular project. So that's been very helpful. In the last year, though, we've been able to really pull the sheet off of projects that we've been waiting to get back to, where we've already had some significant discoveries and we'll continue to work on those. So on the right-hand side of that map you're looking at is our Red Willow project, and that's the project that we were drilling earlier this year, and where we've hit significant amounts of uranium, following up on an earlier drill program. So it's a good time, and there's lots there to keep us busy. There's lots of good things. All of these projects are at various stages of advancement. So the ones that are most furthest along, as I mentioned, are Red Willow, Hook Lake, but all of these others are ready to take a drill, and they're being prepared right now to get some drill work going.
And this Red Willow one, this is the one that you'd first start out like 35-meter step out, and then extended like 300. Like it was like, okay, let's step out further.
Yeah, am I showing you something here? It's just, this is your map. This is not me.
Oh, we can pull up. Let's pull up another map here.
Yeah, that's the one. So this is one area. Now, I mean, within the Red Willow zone, there are about 7 or 8 distinct, because it's a very large project. So we've got 7 or 8 distinct areas that are prospective for a variety of different reasons. We've only really started drill testing on 3 of them. One of them is actually called Radon Lake. It's because it's teeming with radon gas, which is a byproduct of degrading uranium. Yes, and we have yet to figure out where that's coming from. But this one in particular, the Osprey zone, we started following our target there. You see that black line is graphite in the basement rock, which tends to be the primary indicator when we're defining where we're going to drill. And down at the bottom there, those drill holes at the bottom is an area there where we identified a fairly sizable lens of uranium. And what we did this season was then move out from that about 25, 50 meters, which would be typical when you're starting to follow up on something of this nature. This is actually, we have a deposit over in our Hook Lake project, and this was the type of stuff that we started to see before we came into that deposit. So we did that 25-meter step out, and it looked exactly the same again. We hit the same thing. So we pulled a bit of a Hail Mary, and we moved out 300 meters. You could fit 2 or 3 deposits in there, but we thought, let's see how far this thing goes. And we found it again, the same thing. We moved another 300 meters, hit it again, another 300 meters. So we chased this thing in the winter for about 1.2 kilometers, which is somewhat unheard of. It's indicative of a regional mineralization event of size that would have mobilized uranium across this area. And what we're looking for now is that structure and those other indications that would have been appropriate for putting together a deposit. Our last hole, far to the north there, you see that last hole, we actually drilled that one underneath the target. So we weren't hitting the same radiation, but what we did start to see was that altered rock. It was that the structure that we're looking for to really start chasing this thing in a different manner. So this is we've kind of rejigged our schedule for the year, and we are going to be drilling back up there in September. We typically don't like to use helicopters because it's expensive, but we did want to get back up here. So we do have, it is a helicopter job. But we've got another 1.5 kilometers to the north and 1 kilometer to the south of untested area on this thing. And we're quite excited to get back out there and see where something might have been left behind of size.
I mean, I don't want to go too far out there, but that kind of scope of to define is obviously very exciting, because
we've never seen anything like. I mean, we've been drilling across this province and hit mineralization and smaller deposits, whatnot, but we've never seen anything of this length and breadth.
And that's I think if someone wants to know where's the blue sky, that would obviously be a very, very big one. And then you've got like a foundation kind of tied in there with the joint venture, which is handy as well, which is nice.
Well, sure. I mean, it's not on this. All of these projects we own 100%, with the exception of the two on the west, Cameco and Orano. Having said that, I mean, they're fabulous partners, and it's always been a great partnership. They are very supportive, not just financially, but they provide us with a lot of resources, their expertise. When we sit down for joint venture meetings, they fill the room with people who beat us up and hammer us over what we've been doing or should be doing, and it's a great partnership. So, and they've looked at some of this stuff as well. They'll come out and look at our other projects just to keep an eye on it.
I'm sure they'll be looking at that, especially that 1.2 kilometers. I mean, if you get back up there, they'll be probably urging you, go get more data, go poke around more to find this thing, because that would be a monster.
They're always in the wings.
There's always, and that's great. I mean, it's good, and that's when you're in that kind of zone. I mean, it's great to have those relationships, because even as a regional investor, you want to know
absolutely.
Yeah, you want to know that you know what they're looking for and how they want it presented to them, and that makes a big difference. Yeah,
it does for sure. So that's where the focus is. Again, we were planning on drilling another project we have called Turner Lake, which we will get up to. We're going to hit some primary holes here. It's much easier to work up there in the winter because everything's frozen. It's a lot of water across the northern province, and lakes and rivers and bogs and things. So it's much easier to get around in the winter. Some of our best targets here are actually sitting in the middle of a bog. So you actually can't get at it until the winter. But there are some follow-up holes we want to get in there, and we'll do that in September. We will still get up to our Turner Lake project, which again is another one that has a great story behind it, where there's been a lot of great finds in the area. Cameco's Laroc find is like over 30% for 10 meters. ISO Energy, if you've spoken with them, that's right now. That hurricane zone is along that same trend. So it's a long corridor of where there's been a lot of significant hits. And we're at the north end of it, so we want to get our drill up there this fall as well.
So the summer it'll be a little bit quieter. I mean, there's a lot more data that has to be crunched and whatnot.
Summer is technically quieter for that reason, because unless you're in a place you can get in and out of and it's dry, and we've done that before. Sometimes you'll strand a drill out there after the winter, and then you'll go out and use it. But we're going to use this summer actually to do a lot of geophysical work on the project. So Hook Lake. With Cameco and Orano, we're focusing on a different area than we have in the past, and so we're doing some deep sensing geophysics, airborne geophysics, over that area next month to better define the drill targets out there. We have two projects, Carson Lake and Russell South, where we're doing some gravity geophysics over. Again, to define, we're at that point where we've done enough work, and we'll use this to really vector in on and define some drill targets. And then we've got some earlier stage projects, 4 of them. We kind of refer to them as a Tabanor block, and we're doing some VTEM geophysics over those this summer as well. So we've got a lot of data coming in to be digested over the summer, and get those other projects up and ready and ready for prime time.
Good. And the drill program for the fall, cash is in, all set.
All the cash is in. We did another financing about a month or so ago, and we're fully cashed up to do all the work we just talked about. And we've got all of our drillers lined up, contracts signed, permits in hand, ready to rock. So it's really clear sailing for us right now for a while. While we wait out this dirge of a market.
Yeah. Well, and in a weird way, it works in your favor because it is a difficult time right now. People are looking for ideas, and I think that a lot of people are when they focus on these foundational things of a country, like our food supply, our energy supply, all these things, and when they're not working perfectly, and we have very ambitious, lofty, long-term goals, is people start to look and go, okay, well, who is part of this chain that's going to change the world, and nuclear is going to be part of it, and some of the companies that they get involved in.
I mean, the fundamentals underneath this market are still, underneath uranium in general, are still holding out. I think everybody's gotten battered over the last month or so, and particularly kind of those non-current sort of economic stories. A lot of the cyber stuff has gotten hammered, but anything kind of new and shiny, people are backing away from right now. But uranium has got a real story. It's got a long-term story. It's well understood and well known. There's no voodoo here to speak of, and and now that everything has backed down again, I'm thinking that this is going to be where we're going to see a lot of money coming back into it, and a lot of investors coming into it. Uranium has been now talked about a lot over the last year and a half. So people who have been watching it closely, I think, are using this as an opportunity to get more. I think a lot of people who've been on the sidelines watching it, listening to it, who might have thought they missed it, are looking at it as a good entry point as well. Because again, we're 25, 50, 60% away from where the price of uranium has to be and will be. It's the market will force it that way, just pure supply and demand, and all of those of us who are associated with that will see that benefit.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much for spending some time with us, Chris. We really appreciate it. I'm certainly looking forward for this fall, for this drill program, to see what we find out more about this long 1.2 kilometer trend there. That's going to be exciting. So
we'll let you
really
know.
Looking forward to that.
That's great. Thanks for having me on, Andrew.
Excellent. Well, take care. Enjoy the rest of the week.
You too.
Today's company presentations are brought to you by Red Cloud Financial Services and the team at Red Cloud Vancouver. Red Cloud Financial Services is your preeminent source for mining industry opportunities. The team provides a unique tailored marketing program dedicated to reaching the right people from its mining-focused global network, giving clients access to industry-leading events and conferences, retail and institutional marketing, plus an in-house growth-driven digital agency. Red Cloud Financial Services has access to some of the mining industry's most notable companies and CEOs. Tune in every Thursday at 4:15 p.m. Eastern, 1:15 p.m. Pacific for weekly corporate presentations. For more information, visit redcloudfs.com.